In 2004, Forbes recognized JK Rowling as the first author to reach $1 billion net worth, establishing her as the best-selling author to have ever lived. The eventual success of the Harry Potter series was a far cry from the destitute, single mother writing her first manuscript in a cafe years earlier. In an era where fantasy tales had fallen out of favor, Harry Potter captivated the hearts and imaginations of children and adults alike. Through its well-crafted narrative, beloved characters, and rich detail, Harry Potter speaks to a universal need for family and the feelings of loss and abandonment that Rowling expressed through her writing. Without Rowling's vast imagination, the book could have never existed. But similarly, without the struggles of her home life, being an alienated single mother, and dealing with the loss of her own mother, Harry Potter would have lost the very thing that audiences resonated with most. Rowling was born on July 31st, 1965, and spent her formative years in Gloucestershire, England, and Chepstow, Gwent, southeast Wales. Growing up, she was an ardent bookworm and aspired to write from a young age. She wrote her first book, Rabbit, at the age of 6, and upon her mother's praise, boldly suggested they get it published, which surprised her mother that Jo said that at such a young age. Rowling attended her secondary education at age 11, where she was teased due to her last name Rowling, which led to the nickname Rowling Pin. She never loved her last name, but early on she had a fondness for one other name, Potter, which would prove monumental later on. And Rowling's mother was a significant influence on her daughter. Her support and enthusiasm for storytelling, along with her creative culinary skills, helped foster a close bond between them. Anne was diagnosed with a severe form of multiple sclerosis when Jo was 15, which forced her to leave her job. This had a profound impact on Rowling's home life and deepened a strained relationship with her father. Rowling describes her teenage years as unhappy and difficult, noting that her father would have preferred a son. As she struggled with a severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, the prospect of writing became as much a way to escape from her home life as it was to harness her creative abilities. Despite the dreams of writing, she pursued a degree in French and the classics, following the advice of her parents that bilingualism would enhance her job prospects. Rowling's academic performance was unremarkable, and she preferred the works of Dickens and Tolkien over those of her coursework, showing early on her penchant for fantasy. After completing her BA in French and studying for a year in Paris, she eventually moved to Manchester around November 1990. She describes this period of her life as a year of misery. While taking on various temp jobs, her mother tragically passed away. With the pain of her mother's loss, the end of a relationship with her then boyfriend, and the loss of her office job in Manchester, Rowling found herself in a state of fight or flight. An advertisement in a newspaper led her to Portugal, where she began teaching night classes and wrote what would become the first Harry Potter book during the day. 5 months later, Rowling encountered the Portuguese television journalist Jorge Arantes in a bar, and they bonded over their shared interest in Jane Austen. Their relationship was tumultuous, and Rowling experienced a miscarriage during this time, but they married on October 16, 1992, and had a daughter a year later. During this time, Rowling endured domestic abuse from her husband and described the marriage as short and catastrophic. Arantes became tyrannical, not even allowing her to have a house key, and using the manuscript of her book as a bargaining tool. The marriage ended abruptly when Arantes threw her out of the house. Rowling later returned with the police to retrieve their daughter and went into hiding for 2 weeks before departing from Portugal. In late 1993, with the first draft of Harry Potter, Rowling moved with her daughter to Edinburgh, Scotland. Rowling avoided her father during this time, and combined with her dire economic situation, the prospect of writing about a poor orphan who is desperate for a loving family he cannot have seems poignant. Surviving on government assistance, she lived in a mouse-infested flat, which was a step above homelessness. Despite graduating from university 7 years prior, the events of her life caused her to consider herself as a failure. The burdens of poverty and the responsibility of being a single parent took a toll on her. The only place she found solace was in her writing. With the financial help of an old friend, Rowling moved to a flat in Leith, where she finally completed Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Shortly later, her husband arrived, seeking both Rowling and their daughter. Rowling took legal action, and Orontes returned to Portugal. But soon she faced a deep depression and even contemplated ending her own life. After 9 months of therapy, her mental health improved. She filed for divorce and began a new chapter of her life. Writing in cafes and anywhere she could, Rowling was desperate for money and frantic to complete her book. She later credited writing the first Harry Potter book with saving her life, as it allowed her to address themes of loss, love, separation, and death, which would resonate strongly with her audience. Rowling completed Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and was met with an enthusiastic response from young readers. Despite gaining representation by a publisher, her manuscript went on to be rejected by 12 different other publishers. Finally, Bloomsbury Publishing decided to acquire the book after its leader witnessed his 8-year-old daughter finish 1 chapters and be hungry for more. In 1997, Bloomsbury published The Philosopher's Stone with an initial print run of 5,600 copies. When the book hit the shelves, it transformed children's literature. With over 500 million copies sold, the Harry Potter books stand as the best-selling series in history. Each of the final 4 novels set records as the fastest-selling book ever. Translated into 73 languages, adapted into 8 blockbuster films, and spawning numerous spin-offs and merchandise, the Wizarding World's value has soared to over $25 billion. After the dust settles 20 years later, many are left wondering why this tale of a young orphan boy struggling for meaning and the desire for family has resonated so strongly with audiences. During an interview, author JK Rowling revealed that her mother's passing while she was writing the Harry Potter books played a significant role in her decision to have the hero experience the loss of his own parents. In combination with Rowling's difficult relationship with her father, it's easy to see how the character of an orphan would be such a good outlet for her creativity, and also expressing the difficulty with her own family. She stated in an interview with Oprah about her father that, "There came a point where I had to confront the fact that I couldn't continue like this any longer." After Anne's passing, Rowling's father married his secretary just 2 years later, which deeply troubled his 2 daughters. Rowling disclosed in 2012 that she had not communicated with her father for the past 9 years. The lasting impression and great success of Harry Potter centers around the main character's need for his parents. Indeed, much of the book goes hand in hand with Harry discovering his parents' past and using this knowledge to overcome Lord Voldemort. When we read Harry Potter, we're not simply enticed with a world where magic exists, although who wouldn't want that, but we're spurred on by our desire to make ourselves whole, and how the deep connections with friends and family informs what that means. Drawing from JK Rowling's own troubled life, the Harry Potter story highlights just how alien and alone people can feel without friends and family. Much of the story's ambient joy comes from these homey environments, good upbringings, the reminder that people love each other. The book is not only a master of fantasy, but an ode to a loving family and a well-meaning society. As seen through the eyes of Harry Potter, an abused orphan, it seems almost magical to hope that these things could be real. Yet, ironically, it was a dissatisfied home life, the loss of a mother, the forays into an abusive relationship that all contributed to one of the greatest stories ever written. Even after the 20th anniversary, the celebrations of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, that same timeless theme of love, friendship, and the need for inclusion still endure to this day.